Are you ready to activate a new spiritual gift within your Akashic field that you can utilize during this incarnation for yourself, your family members, friends, or your clients? Now, this is going to be in a perspective lens of a spiritual gift activation that I did for one of my clients. So I want you to envision that you are going along with us on this experience to learn how to integrate the tools and the techniques. If you have these templates within your field, this is going to unlock within you as well. And she did give me permission to share so that we could activate you along with others and bring this into the collective consciousness. I want to save this video so you can come back and listen to it later as well. And if you would like your own personal spiritual gift activation beyond the one that we're about to do right now with one another, you can find those in my bio or in the comments, and let's get into it. Now, sometimes when I do these, there's a little bit of shadow work that we need to do before we get into the spiritual gift because of imposter syndrome or not fully believing in our magic. So we're going to start there, and this is going to be beneficial for you as well because most of us energy healers and practitioners are experiencing that on some level of embodying our magic fully. So this will be a beneficial message as well as medicine for you. When I went to her energy field, I ran up to her astral body and said, "Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. I'm excited to go on this journey together." She was very nervous and experiencing anxiety and was kind of looking at the ground, holding her head down, just very closed off with her body and energy. And I said, "Why are you nervous?" She looked at me and said, "Well, what if we don't find anything?" That is representative of feeling disappointment in life when we have been really excited about something. It's happened numerous times, and so we have this behavioral pattern of not allowing ourselves to experience joy in its fullness and preparing for the worst case scenarios. That's a safety trauma response. But I looked at her and said, "Girl, what if we find so many things that we're not able to fully express all of them in this journey, like busting at the seams?" There's so much that is trying to come through. And she looked at me and said, "I haven't really thought about it before in that perspective, or that was even a potentiality." I asked, "Well, why do you think that is? Why do you think that you were assuming the worst so you didn't get disappointed?" And she said, "Well, and then she stopped herself and thought, actually, scratch that. I am really excited for what we're about to find. I know it's going to be amazing because I am amazing." I said, "Yes, we love that." You were able to pivot the narrative because all that stuff is true. Like all of those things that have happened at the same time, that doesn't have to be your future, or it doesn't even have to be your right now. You can choose what you are going to focus on and put energy and attention into. And I said, honestly, that is going to create a much more dynamic spiritual gift activation, because otherwise we would have had to invest a lot of time in doing a lot more shadow work and clearing around your self-concept and imposter syndrome, and we wouldn't have been able to go as deep into your field, and you wouldn't have seen as an expansatory gift. So you actually set yourself up for a lot of success and saying, "We're going to find some really incredible things today." And then we will be able to, because that's the intention that we're going in with, believing in self. Then we went into a different section, and a really big pink bubble floated down from the sky, like the one that Glinda, the Good Witch, was in when she traveled down to meet Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. And we walked into the bubble and started floating off into the sky, and the sound effects are really cute. It said bloop, 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 bloop. When we were in the bubble, she looked at me and said, "I want to create a butterfly pendant." I said, "Okay, that sounds fun." Butterfly pendant. "Do you want to go see a shopsmith?" And what I meant by that was a jewelry maker. And she said, "Actually, I have a work studio at home." And what she meant by that, in that moment, she went from this incarnation version of her to a different incarnation, like morphed into her. And she didn't necessarily have a work studio at her house. What she meant was she has one that is residing within her soul that has been waiting to be re-remembered and re-accessed. And so we actually went to her work studio that she had been to prior. I looked around and said, oh, it's so fun in here. There's all of these smelting tools, like welding. If you were going to create little glass figurines, little animals that you see in antique stores that you can buy, or making jewelry. She looked at me and said, please put these on. And they were safety glasses. And I said, yes, no hazardous materials in my eyes. We walked over to a workbench or a table, and there was a jewelry plate, like a jewelry box, that was holding a butterfly pendant that was on a necklace. I said, oh, that's what you were talking about when we were in the bubble together, that butterfly pendant. And I said that was a testament to my client's channeling and psychic abilities, because her conscious mind here in this incarnation had no idea about that, but her soul knew that that butterfly pendant was in her Akashic field, and it was calling to her, pinging her. So she heard it and followed that frequency and vibration. That's when we're getting these intuitive nudges and we're like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Follow it. Because that's how we're going to activate this gift with one another here. So we followed it, turned into the different incarnation, and now we're in the workspace. She looked at it and said, huh, it looks like I've already started it. She didn't remember. It was almost done. And I said, okay, that's odd. And do you know what happened? Why you stopped creating the pendant? She said, oh, let's see. And she picked up this remote and started rewinding time, like right in front of us, to see a memory. And I said, oh, that's nifty. That remote you got there. When we were looking at the memory, she was sitting at the workbench and like tinkering. She heard somebody calling her and turned around and walked out of her studio. And I said, well, who was calling you? She said, I don't know. I don't remember. I said, okay, do you want to follow that trajectory? Do you want to go find out what happened and who that was? Because she had also mentioned that it wasn't from this plane. And what she meant by that was coming from a different dimension. So I don't know if she was going to go visit a different incarnation or what was going on there. But I said, is it relevant to the spiritual gift? And she said, no. Just tell her, my client, that that's a whole different experience. She can go on a meditation in her own to figure out the rest of my journey. But we're going to focus on the pendant and the spiritual gifts and move forward with that. She looked at me and said, we're going to test it out, the pendant. And she put it around my neck, so the butterfly was right here. All of a sudden, I was moved into a different space. Big open field, beautiful, luscious green grass, flowers everywhere, warm sun energy. It was springtime. And I said, oh my God, I feel like a butterfly. Not just like what it would be like to be a butterfly. I was actually a butterfly. And there was all these other butterflies everywhere. I said, oh, the pendant is a transportation vehicle. It's a transportation device. And I looked up into the sky and kind of called out and said, where do we get transported to? Then I went back into the workshop and she said, come with me, I'm going to explain how this works. And so we're sitting at the table with one another. She said, my gift is to make objects that transport you to inner realms that carry the vibrational healing energies of spirit animals. I'm going to say that again. My gift is to make objects that transport you to inner realms that carry the vibrational healing energies of spirit animals. I said, oh my God, that's amazing. How are you fabricating these? How are you fashioning them? If you're resonating with this so far, you have this template within you as well. Maybe you do it similarly or you do it different, but we're going to get into how to develop this. So she said, I read people's energetic templates and what they are needing to bring into their fields. So that could be a spirit animal. Or she works with people who already know spirit animals on their team and are wanting to work with them more closely, or specific animals that they want to work with. But that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Like somebody could come to you and say, I don't know what I need, you tell me. Then she takes that spirit animal's energy and infuses it into the pendant for the connection. So it's a type of energetic reading or a session that you are doing for others or with yourself or family members or friends, clients, whomever. I said, well, how are you building the architectural structures of these inner realms? The one that I had been taken to as a butterfly. She said, come, let me show you. So we went back into the field and she said, she is teaching people how to build these structures that don't know how to do it yet. She meets with their higher self. And this is when I saw her and the other person's higher self, which was probably my higher self since we were in my realm. But they had these construction hard hats on, and they were looking at a construction map. Like you would see people that are building roads and buildings and what have you. I said it's giving Bob the Builder. What she is doing is actually serving as a general contractor, and who is on her crew are fairies, elves, trees, just nature spirits, the animals, and they are helping her with creating the architectural structures. What this looks like within somebody's field, the inner realm, is a dome. And when I was in the butterfly field, I didn't actually see a dome structure because this place is so expansive, but it needs to be a dome because it's an energetic container that magnifies the animal's healing energies. The pendant opens up the astral pathways to the inner realms. I said, oh, okay, can people wear multiple pendants? So they would have numerous animals on their neck. And she said, oh yes, some people are more attuned or inclined to work with spirit animals. These people have a lot of earth energy. They work with archetypes because animals are a type of archetype. They practice shamanism. They might be plant medicine healers, environmentalists, or animal advocates. They would be multiple pendant holders or keepers of numerous inner realms. I said, can you link all of the different rooms or domes together? And she said, yes, however, they're separate for a reason because the energy held within them is so condensed for that healing experience, but you can go to each one like like you see like a hamster tunnel system, kind of like that. And she said you can create whatever entry point that you want inside each inner realm, and they can all be different from one another. And she gave a couple of examples. They could be a mirror, a portal, a staircase, a rainbow, or a slide, or whatever works for you. I asked, what exactly is happening when they are in the inner realm? What are they experiencing with the specific spirit animal? And she said, well, they are receiving direct healing from the animal. It is a way for them to embody their energetics or their characteristics. If they want to offer healing to others, this is an amplifier. So this is where if you are working with an energy healer or a practitioner or a channeler, they're actually able to go within these inner realms within themselves. Let's say they're working with a tiger. So they go in their tiger realm, and then they are able to offer Reiki, light language, coaching sessions. However they share their magic and their medicine is going to be infused with that tiger energy on a higher level. It can strengthen their bonds with the animal, or if someone has a witchy archetype and they've worked with familiars, that can help them remember past life connections that you have had with these animals as your familiar, or really any type of past life connections. You can hang out with them, like if you just want to go in and play with a bunch of rhinoceros, if that's the realm that you choose, and have fun. And then you can also look through the animal's eyes. And what she meant by that was see through their perspectives. So let's say that you are helping somebody in a session and this person is having a little bit of a difficult time understanding a challenge or something that they're currently working through, and you think it would be really beneficial to put the filter lens over your channeling of looking through a panda's perspective because they're representatives of balance, having balance in your life. That's where this can be really beneficial, this gift. I said, this is so cool. How did you learn how to do this? And she said, I wanted to start making jewelry and I really loved animals. So I started there. Then I asked myself, what else can I do with this? She started meditating with the pendants and then went from there. She said it was already within me, like much of our spiritual gifts. We have forgotten or just hasn't been time to bring it forward in our consciousness yet. But we have so many things that are already inherently within us. There are gifts that we're not really privy to beforehand, where it takes a little bit more time, energy, and effort in order to weave that into your life. But then there's these other facets of us that you can just activate very quickly and be off enjoying it here in the 3D and the astral planes. She said, I just followed my joy and now we are here. Because when she first started just making jewelry, I don't mean just making jewelry, but she was making jewelry with animal pendants. That's great in and of itself. And then we started infusing energy healing into it. And now we're in here doing whole infant structural systems, architects. Now we're going to get into how to actually develop this and weave it into your own life or others, into your spiritual business, how to create offerings with this gift. First, I would start researching as many spirit animals as you can. There was a chapter of my life where every day or every couple of days I was picking a new one and just typing in koala spirit animal and doing a read over it. Now, there are going to be numerous interpretations for each animal. And when I say animal, that is all encompassing. Sea creatures, it can be land animals, birds, bugs, anything and everything. It can be unicorns and dragons and phoenixes. It doesn't always have to be earth animals, just animals. Whatever that means to you. But we want to research as many as we can. And it's not like we need to sit here and memorize everything. Oh, wait, let me talk about what I was talking about before. There are going to be numerous interpretations of each animal because spirit animals are worked with in so many different cultures, and it's really dependent on what that person is experiencing in their life and what chapter that they're in, what their desires are. So I could get a grizzly bear for one person and it means something, and then I read for somebody else with a grizzly bear and it means something completely different. What you're doing in researching the animals, however, is bringing this gift to the forefront of your consciousness and helping you remember that it's already there. So you have intuitive abilities of inner knowings of what the animals all mean, but sometimes you need to give your human a kickstart and a path to remember, and that's how I did it. Eventually, I didn't even have to start looking the animals up to figure these things out. I just knew. It came in with my clear cognizant abilities, or I could just ask the animal, why are you here? Not like, why are you here? How are you coming in to support this person? What do you represent? What are your characteristics or your personality traits or your experiences or your perspectives? And they would just tell me, or I would have that inner knowing, and I would have animals show up that I had never researched before, but we just move forward. Now, if you do need to look things up online, even if you're a super advanced practitioner, okay, we have a human brain. We cannot remember everything. Maybe you have never come in contact with this animal before, or the animal, when you're meeting with an astral, is not communicating in the way that you need. It's fine if you need to go look it up. I've done that several times, and again, there's going to be multiple interpretations of each animal, and I would just read through and say which one of these and is most resonant with what my client is experiencing, and then pick that and move forward. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It means you can't hold everything in your brain. You can also look at pictures of animals, watch nature documentaries. You can do guided meditations with spirit animals. There's tons of them on YouTube. For the practicality of this gift, we're going to do several different options here. The first one is you could make real jewelry, if that's your calling, in the 3D plane with your hands and make pendants and infuse the healing energies of the animal into them. So that would mean that you would need to energetically read somebody and figure out what animals are going to best serve them, either for the chapter of life that they're in or for their entire incarnation, or ask them, are there specific animals that you want to work with or to call in, or they're already on your spirit team, and then make the pendant. It doesn't even have to be physical though. You can make a astral pendant. That is what I was wearing. That butterfly on the necklace, it wasn't a physical representor. It doesn't mean that it's going to work any less than a physical one. You could do a channeling with the animal that they are wanting to call in and work with and ask, what do you think this person needs to focus on right now? Or what is going to bring them healing or help them create forward movement, and channel the whole message from the animal, and then either mail them the jewelry piece to wear afterwards, or do it etherically and put it on their astral body's neck. You could take it to an even deeper level where you are taking people's astral bodies into the ethers, into your workshop where you are fabricating these. When I did this session with her, I wasn't actually meeting with her in this plane. I go into their Akashic records, get all of this information, and then send them a voice note recording. That allows me to get much deeper into their fields and then reiterate the story to them to integrate into their human experience. But you can take them to the workshop, work on the pendant with their energy body, and then take them into the actual inner realm where that animal is within, so that they can experience the dome structure and that condensed energy. So it's a deeper form of healing in their Akashic field. And at the same time, you can teach their higher self how to create these structures so they can do that themselves moving forward, or teach it to others. Your higher self already knows how to do that. You might be like, oh, well, I don't know how to do that. Your higher self does. You focus on more the pendant and calling the animals in, and the fun experience of building the dome and asking your fairy, elf, and tree friends to come in and support and assist you and your higher self. And then again, you can get channeled messages from that animal for your client. Another option would be to create guided meditations where you're taking a large group of people, or people that are listening to it individually, to the workshop, creating the pendant, creating the inner realms. You're picking a specific animal to take them on this shamanic journey. Or you could do a live meditation where you are on Zoom with somebody or in person, and then you go through this experience together through a meditative journey. A way to promote this, if you do want to include it in your spiritual practitioner business, is you can create videos where you pick a animal, let's say a porcupine, and you make a video, and or you can pick an email, whatever you want to do. However you share with your persons and Insta post, and you say, if you resonate with the porcupine spirit, they have a message for you. Before you make the video, obviously you would have had to sit down and channel the entire transmission, but then you were going to come on and relay that to your audience. And then at the end, we can say, hey, if you really resonated with this message and you want to work with more spirit animals, or find out if there's any specifically on your team, and they're going to help you recalibrate your energetics and create forward movement in this chapter of your life, this is what I am able to do in an individual session. And then you can talk about your architectural structures of these inner realms and all of the benefits that we talked about previously that they can experience while they're in the realms. It's giving people a deeper insight into what a session is going to look like with you and feel. And you as a energy healer and a practitioner, it builds those lines of trust. Like, hey, they know what they are doing. This is a rad message. And then they're learning something. Even if they don't necessarily sign up for a session, this is doing so much healing in the collective for the world. Okay, so it's benefiting everybody. But it is a way that you can sign up for individual sessions as well. Just like I am doing here. And that spiritual gift activation was for a client, but it's going to be beneficial for a lot of other people like yourself. However, if you are going to sign up for your own personal spiritual gift activation, that is even going to be more impactful because it's a first-hand experience that you're going on. Whereas with this one, we're listening to somebody else's, even though it is resonating, you're still looking through a filter lens of other. And so your own personal one is going to be even more dynamic. So if you would like to sign up for your own, you can find those in my bio or in the comments. I would love to hear if this message was for you. If you're like, oh, this gift is within me. I can feel it within my soul, and I'm super excited. This is the direction and clarity and instructions that I needed. Let me know in the comments. And remember to give a follow to join the community. And I'm wishing you a very magical day.